With no shortage of action, rivalry, betrayal, and tons of intensity, it's a given that Blue Lock has been such a popular hit as a psychological sports anime, with the second season immediately announced for 2024. Instead of a typical sports anime with camaraderie and teamwork, think of a battle royale situation where you'll need to mercilessly trample over others to be at the top. Although this is just a soccer game, the setup is designed so that any display of weakness will be exploited so that one can become the top star. Welcome to Blue Lock, where sportsmanship logic is buried 8 feet deep, and an average Joe like Isagi paves his way to victory by becoming the most egoistic player. He won't hesitate to crush dreams of anyone standing in his way, even his good friends, on several occasions. Now, how did an initial total of 300 players reduce massively to just 35 at the end of the first season? One word: ego. Stick with us as we take you through the anime that represents the ultimate test of ego, leading to quite possibly the best sports anime of the decade. Now, without further ado, let's dive into Blue Lock's race to the top. This series introduces us to a range of intense and colorful characters whose behavior patterns are everywhere, from the weirdly eccentric Bachira to the clean freak Barou and the soccer-obsessed Rin. Then we also have a constantly angry Bakugo-like teammate, as well as a selfish redhead princess who cares more about their hair a bit too much. These quirky characters are brought together by the director of the Blue Lock program, Jinpachi Ego, in a bid to turn them into world-class superstars. This setup was approved by the government in the hopes that Ego could groom a world-class super striker that'll guarantee Japan's victory in the coming World Cup. The invitees are told that participating in the program meant they had a shot at being in the nationals, but if they flopped, their future as professional soccer players would cease to exist entirely. In this high-risk, high-reward futuristic training facility, Ego fuels the actions of every player with a burning desire to survive by any means necessary. They know their futures are at stake and must constantly surpass their former selves to survive every situation. To survive in Blue Lock, one must put everything on the line and push the boundaries of possibility in the ultimate test of ego. For any of these players to be at the top, every player has a unique talent called weapons that must be utilized to pass each round. These can range from special shooting skills, fast-paced dribbling, incredible movement, unconventional moves, spatial awareness, or even something tricky as predicting the actions of every player. The talents must be honed and weaponized to become a deadly asset and be used to their advantage in a face-off. Whether it's Rin controlling the field or Chigiri's flash-like pace that blows his opponents away, there's no shortage of jaw-dropping scenes that will leave your skin crawling with excitement. The next factor the players need to succeed is hard work, and there's no doubt putting in the effort pays off. Constant training and practice are necessary to be world-class, and even the highly talented Barou and Rin still maintain strict training routines despite their natural physique. Isagi, an average Joe, knows this too, and to keep up with the others, he pushes himself beyond his limits by imitating their training routine, making up for his lack of build. In addition to hard work, ego becomes the necessary driver for evolving and fighting for a place in Blue Lock. We see this constantly happening, like when Nagi betrays Ryo in favor of Isagi, or when Bachira develops a solo-style play, and the cherry on top is when Barou steals the ball from his teammates. Then of course, to be the best striker, you need top-tier goal-scoring capabilities. What's a striker without his goals? The whole point of participating in Ego-san's hellish training is to become Japan's best strikers who can outplay the world's top players. Check out all these insane shots! To become a master striker, one must combine their weapon, tenacity, ego, and striker capabilities to unshackle themselves from any thoughts holding them down. This means that old habits and previous beliefs had to be let go or risk losing everything. Ultimately, it's all about how far individuals can push themselves and find new ways to break their limitations. To demonstrate what we mean, here's a detailed rundown of how some players have pushed themselves past their limits and become fearsome strikers, making them all worthwhile contenders for the top players of Blue Lock. First, we have the main protagonist, Isagi Yuichi. One of the most untalented members of the participants, being ranked close to last. In terms of talent and physical capability, he's an utterly below-average player with no impressive stats whatsoever. However, Isagi has two undeniable characteristics working for him: tenacity and a blazing ego. Both allow him to rebuild himself during critical moments and change a game's momentum entirely. Throughout the selection process, Isagi has become aware of his spatial awareness weapon, which grants him an abnormal view of the field, allowing him him to change the outcome of a game by reading other players. On multiple occasions, Isagi has been the deciding factor that determines his team's fate. For instance, during a close match against Team Y, they pulled an unexpected all-out attack at the last minute, leading to the whole team panicking. However, Isagi could read the situation, block the scoring pass, and reverse the circumstance completely, leading to their win. Similarly, in a disadvantaged game with a teammate's betrayal, Isagi's tenacity, despite the overwhelming odds, became the real inspiration that led the withdrawn Chigiri to go all out with his incredible speed. By bringing the best out of his teammates during many games, Isagi could turn the tables against highly formidable opponents. But it's not just his spatial awareness and tenacity that Isagi has. He's constantly evolving by analyzing players, like when he copies Naruhaya's blind spot skill during a match to compensate for his weakness, allowing him to go head-on with a genius player, Barou. This constant evolution leaves everyone wary of him and his potential, placing Isagi as a serious contender to become a top player. The next player we must recognize is Bachira, an eccentric personality that's possessed by a monster within. Bachira loved soccer from a young age and became one with the ball, honing his incredible dribbling skills early on. However, because nobody around him shared that zeal, it led Bachira to play soccer with an imaginary monster that only he could perceive. Fortunately, everything changed in Blue Lock when he finally found Isagi, who could handle his high level of gameplay perfectly. But while other players played ambitiously, Bachira played soccer for the thrill and excitement, eventually leading to the biggest flaw in his gameplay, needing someone to play with. This weakness led to his inability to move forward, and Bachira became someone who couldn't play soccer without Isagi or his imaginary monster. But when able to overcome this weakness, Bachira's nutmegs, tic-tacs, and acrobatic skills, along with his insane creative passes, allow him to send pinpoint crosses during the match, leaving defenders shocked. For someone who just began his awakening by letting go of his monster companion within, the limits of what he alone can do with the ball in the future would undoubtedly be a sight to behold. Moving on, we have Nagi Seishiro, the lazy genius. Among other participants, he was somewhat different, as he was born a genius despite having no soccer playing experience. Even with having little interest in the sport, Nagi effortlessly blazes through the initial rounds. But after witnessing Isagi's impressive soccer skills, Nagi believed that Isagi's influence would push him to compete at a much higher level. This motivated Nagi to take soccer more seriously and even caused him to unexpectedly betray his best friend to join Isagi. As a force to be reckoned with, Nagi uses his incredible ball control with the flexibility of using various body parts to make unexpected goals. This, combined with his trapping, allows him to win against Chigiri's overwhelming super speed and catch the ranked #1 player Rin off guard with his two-stage fake volley. This perfect first-touch playing style meant he had the freedom to score goals from terrible passes and flip an unfavorable situation in his favor. Now, speaking about an actual genius, let's talk about Rin Itoshi, considered #1 in the entire Blue Lock program and a perfect all-rounder. Unlike Nagi, Rin is an all-rounder who puts in the effort through hard work from a young age. To seal his spot as the highest ranked, Rin has a peak physique, insane shooting abilities, and a spatial awareness more refined than Isagi's. Then to add to his mastery as a soccer player, his high ego and driven nature put him a big step ahead of the rest. For the soccer-obsessed Rin, a hunger for goal, stamina, the perfect shot, and an in-depth understanding of his kind of soccer made him an established egoist from the get-go. By consciously manipulating everyone's movement and influencing one's decisions in the field, Rin emerges victorious in many one-on-one situations. In addition, his ability to accurately predict the flow of the game meant that he always showed up during critical moments to prevent opponents from scoring. By being egoistic, skillful, and dependable, there's only one thing capable of stopping Rin's path to being the best in the world. That is his obsession with his genius elder brother. But more on that when Season 2 of Blue Lock comes out. While these 4 characters stand out the most to us, plenty of capable players are in the anime. Players like Chigiri with blitzing speed, and Barou with his selfish plays, and many others have the potential to make it to the top. With these players, it's not simply about the technique or skill, but also the character's overall development that makes it such an intriguing watch. So if there's one thing that's clear, the race to the top isn't over, with each player bringing unique qualities to the game and continuously outmaneuvering one another. From Isagi's crazy growth, Bachira's impressive solo play, Rin's crazy talent, and Nagi's unconventional plays, any of these strike strikers can be at the top with their ever-growing egos. We wouldn't even be surprised if another character ends up on top. There's no telling how far the Blue Lock players can soar with these strikers leading the pack. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're interested in keeping up with other anime, check out our other video here. Thanks for watching!